Hello and welcome to Oddspedia Premier League Matchday 34 and FAcup semi-finals. And for this special show, 2-in-1, we have Tom Rennie, the unique. Hello, Tom.
Never mind about me this week. Edu, how are you? I worry about you. Up late last night watching Real Madrid. How's the heart? How's the palpitations? You feeling okay?
I'm not feeling okay, to be honest. I'm feeling very happy. But yes, still, a lot to swallow, a lot to think about, I want to listen to so many radio shows. It's been a very, very good week, guys. So
you have to do this entire program in tribute to Carlo Ancelotti with one eyebrow like this. Yeah,
I can
the whole thing.
I can do it. Or to Lunin, just standing up, just saving Bernardo Silva's penalty, for instance. Well, we have to talk about Man City. We have to talk about the FAcup semi-finals. A lot to talk about with Tom Rennie. So remember, of course, leave your comments here in the comment section. Subscribe as well. And now let's go on with the show. Well, Mr. Tom Rennie, let's start with your favorite competition, apart from the championship, which you are a top tipster. Also, the FAcup. You are a great, wise man about the FAcup. And we have FAcup semi-finals in Wembley, Man City, Chelsea. You were saying Real Madrid before. And, well, all the eyes now are on this game, a great game. Man City, Chelsea, with the Champions League lost in penalties, probably very tired, Man City, but as you always say, Tom, they have a great squad. They cannot complain. Guardiola can rotate. So they are super favorites to beat Chelsea, 1.6. Also, credit to you because you said Chelsea are going to thrust one team this season like absolutely madness. And we saw it last week with the 6-0 to Everton, and this fight with the penalty, one of the images of the weekend in Europe.
Do you know what's frustrating is that I felt like Chelsea were going to thrash somebody. I went 1 week too early. 1 week too early. It's been coming for weeks and weeks and weeks, if not the entire season. We still tipped them to beat Everton. We still tipped them to win to 0, but I went heavy on the victory that the previous week, and it wasn't as heavy as it maybe could have been. Look, let's start with Manchester City. They were the team who dominated the game against Real Madrid in midweek, didn't create a great deal of chances, but dominated the ball, worked the ball, a lot of thought, a lot of switches, a lot of effort put into that game against Real Madrid to then lose on penalties. And whatever anyone watching might think about Man City as a club, the way they go about it, the size of the squad, any of it, all those players, the manager, the club, they are devastated this morning having lost against Real Madrid. I don't think they saw it coming. I think they thought they were going to go through. I thought they were going to go through. I think you probably thought they were going to go through after Real Madrid didn't win the first leg. So to get knocked out in the way that they did is going to be devastating on the Thursday morning. And I will never, ever, ever feel any sympathy for Pep Guardiola saying his players are tired because of the embarrassment of riches that he has compared to everyone else in world football. But I will understand it and I will have some empathy for it. But that's the game, that's the sport. Hashtag we go again. The concern for this game is that Kevin De Bruyne went off. Guardiola said post-match he couldn't continue. Erling Haaland went off after another stinker of a game against Real Madrid. And it was said he couldn't continue. And I wonder how fit someone like John Stones is, who's so important to what they do. How fit Manuel Akanji is following the hard yardage he put in against Real Madrid in midweek. So look, as we speak, there are concerns about who's going to be available to play. One thing we do know is that it will still be one of the most expensively assembled squads in football, up there with Chelsea, funnily enough. Away from that, though, they've played pretty well recently, Man City. They've been scoring goals in the Premier League, 4 against Crystal Palace, 5 against Man City, 4 against Aston Villa, 3 against Real Madrid in the first leg. The goals are a-coming, and they hadn't been for much of this season, so that's a concern for Chelsea in this game. And I would expect there to be goals in this game as well. So if you're looking for City, obviously to win, as usual, is no good. So look at the goal-scoring markets here for Manchester City. 76 goals scored in the Premier League this season is the highest. You won't be surprised to hear. And as I mentioned, they've scored lots of goals in their last 4 or 5 matches. So City to win and to score 3 goals brings you in over our double the money threshold, which we like. Just to score 3 goals, take away the result. That's at 2.38 this morning. That may well rise before the weekend. Again, getting towards double your money, I think is really, really nice there. And one thing to look at here is that this game will end on the day. So replays have gradually been wiped out of the FA Cup. And this is why I continue to campaign for full revolution of the FA Cup to make it continue to sparkle in English football's crown. And I think the last people that want to defend it seem to be the people that run it. But this game will go to extra time. Don't be surprised here, a bit like in midweek, if this game also goes to extra time. City to win in extra time, that'll make you some serious money if you're willing to bet and gamble on it. 9.5 for Man City to win in extra time. In terms of Chelsea, we mentioned that they've been due thrashing someone at some point, and they did it against Everton on Monday. Inspired by Cole Palmer, our bet was Cole Palmer to score and Chelsea to win. And if you're looking for Chelsea to win, that's where you go again here. Cole Palmer scores and inspires and Chelsea win. Personally, it's not my tip, but you might feel that in your gut, dear viewer. And if that's the case, then that's the way you're going to make some money off Chelsea to win this game. Really impressed by Cole Palmer, of course, once of Man City, point to prove, has scored for City at Wembley in the Community Shield already this season. And he really knits the team together. An otherwise pretty average team, a star player who scored as many goals in the Premier League this season as actual Erling Haaland for 9th in the table Chelsea. That's incredible. That genuinely is an incredible season by this guy. So if you go Chelsea, Cole Palmer and a scoreline, but for me, City win and they'll score 3 goals or more.
All right, perhaps we have a prop bet, a fight to take a penalty. This could be good. Cole Palmer to take a penalty and to fight with Jackson. This could be a good one. Well, Man City, big favorites in this first semi-final, a very good one. And everyone thinks we are going to have a Manchester final in the FA Cup because on Sunday we have Coventry City, Man United. Coventry, 3 defeats in the last 4 games in the Championship. But of course, no one expected them to be in the FA Cup final. They beat Wolves, remember, in the quarterfinals away from home in a shocking win. And this is a title that everyone is looking. If you are a Red Devil, if you are a Man United fan, it's been a horrible season for them. Perhaps if they play the final, if they beat Man City in the final, this is a big if, the season will be saved by Ten Hag. But first things first, Tom, they should win this one, but they are really bad lately. Well, the whole season.
I mean, they are really bad, Manchester United, and I was doing their game against Bournemouth at the weekend, and I just don't understand how we didn't win that bet. Like, we had Bournemouth to win, we had Bournemouth to win and both teams to score, we had everything, and Bournemouth dominated the game from almost first minute to last. They had chance after chance after chance. We had Solanke score and Bournemouth win, and I just don't get how it didn't happen, because they should have won that maybe 5 or 6-1, Bournemouth, plus if a foul happens on the line and continues in the penalty area, it's a penalty. And yet Bournemouth didn't get that late penalty. So that's why they got something out of last week. And they also got something out of last week because Bruno Fernandes is having a brilliant, brilliant season. People don't like him. I get that. I don't really like him as a footballer in terms of watching him. He seems horrible to play against. Let's put it that way. But such a good footballer. Leads this team by example. Incredible effort put into games, which maybe we don't appreciate watching on TV sometimes. Scores goals, is creative, an outstanding, outstanding footballer, and he's holding this Man United season together. And if they are going to win this game, Manchester United, they will be inspired by Bruno Fernandes this weekend. In terms of Coventry, a word on them. The win over Wolverhampton Wanderers was spectacular. An all-time FA Cup classic to win in injury time, as they did, having been trailing when the 90 minutes came up. I mean, that's perfection. No great surprise after that high. Couple of decent results. I think they thrashed Rotherham by 5-0. A victory over Leeds United, nothing to be sniffed at a couple of weeks ago. But the form's been patchy. And the form's always going to be patchy. That's the Championship. And B, when you get towards a game like this, a season-defining game like this, maybe the first time that any of these players have played at Wembley. I haven't checked my notes on that, but it's more than likely. Mark Robbins, the manager, has been there, of course, but I wonder how many were in the team last year in the playoffs to this year. Probably about half or more have changed since then. So, when they were in the playoff final against Luton, there was Gyökeres, there was Hamer. They've all gone. So it'd be interesting to check that out this week. But I do think the team has got some good players in it. I like Ellis Sims. I think he's a championship player, and he's coming from Everton and looked pretty decent. I like the look of Eccles, the holding midfielder. I think he's really good and looks like an assured presence in midfield. I expect them to play something like 4-1-4-1 and try and contain Manchester United, which can be done with organised and disciplined defending. But look, I ain't going to put money on Coventry to win this game, okay? It might be worth a punt of your time if you have a gut feeling because United are poor, but I think they will win it. I think it'll be scrappy and scratchy and nervy, and I don't expect many goals in this one. Coventry will sit deep, they will low block, they will catenaccio, however you like to put it, and Manchester United will nick a couple of goals. Under 2.5 goals, a Man U win, brings in at 4.5. Under 3.5, very conservative, brings in at 2.5. And as you know, I love a group bet. 1-0, 2-0, 2-1. That brings you in double your money. I think this one ends in the 90.
Well, I'm a bit surprised about the odds. The Coventry win is not that high, 6.5. And the Man United win is 1.5, in my opinion. Really high odds for Man United and not that high for Coventry. So the bookies expect like a close game, not that easy for the Red Devils. Let's see what happens. Are you going to Wembley, Tom?
No, I'm going to be doing... Yeah, I'm doing the Saturday. What am I talking about? Yes, I'm going to be there for City Chelsea on Saturday. What am I talking about? I'm thinking I'm not going to Man United, but there's the other one. Yeah, doing the other one.
You are going to the good one then.
Yes.
Well, enjoy.
Of course.
Great FA Cup semi-finals on Saturday, on Sunday. Always a special atmosphere in London when we have the FA Cup semi-finals. In some other point of the country on Saturday, we have a really great Luton Town Brentford. Let's switch to the Premier League. Luton Town, they have a great chance to get out of the relegation spots if they are able to beat Brentford, and it's a good opportunity because Brentford, with the win against Sheffield, they are almost saved. 3 consecutive draws for Brentford before that win against Sheffield United. And the big question, Tom, is that if Luton is going to screw this opportunity or if they are going to win and put Nottm Forest in the bottom 3.
Well, look, I think Brentford are safe. I think 32 is the line. I don't think Luton, with 5 games remaining, are going to get to 32 points. That would require 7 from where they currently are. In the last 5 games, they've picked up 4 points across the season 25. Luton are not getting to 32. So that, for me, makes Brentford safe. Maybe that changes the equation for them a little bit. I don't think it will. So it's I don't think there's a motivation factor in this game for Brentford. I don't see it as a relegation 6-pointer. This is all about Luton. They simply have not won enough games at the famous and supposedly feared Kenilworth Road to stay in the league this season. Just 4 victories from 16, 9 defeats is simply not good enough. And they need to rekindle the spirit of Bournemouth, which is a game they won by 2-1 a couple of weeks ago, if they are to stay in the Premier League this season. This is a must win for Luton Town. If you're looking at how they're going to win it, are they going to win it? I think you're looking at a couple of factors here. Firstly, still a long injury list of players who probably would be playing in this game. Adebayo up front continues to be missing, though good to see Clinton Morris scoring some goals. Finally, in the Premier League, it looks like he's finding his feet in this division as a kind of battering ram striker. Ross Barkley, again, despite the loss against City last week, was exceptional. Another brilliant performance from him. And I think they've found a good balance in this team with Doughty on one side, Kabore on the other. I think defensively they are weak, but the first choice back 3 is all missing. And Kaminsky in goal at times has to work overtime to try and keep teams out. In terms of Brentford, just briefly on them, good to see Brian Mbeumo back. Good to see Ivan Toney given a rest last week. He was carrying a bit of a knock going into that game. Didn't need him. He will, I'm sure, be back for this one. And we are finally going to see, I think, Wissa and Bummo and Tony up front for Brentford, which was the plan at the start of the season. So I think that's really, really interesting. I'm not going to bet on Brentford. I wouldn't take Brentford only because they are so inconsistent this season. Away from home, they've simply not been good enough. Just 3 victories on the road, 1 point in the last 5. That was the 3-3 draw against Aston Villa, one of those weird anomaly matchups you get a couple of times a season. And so without being able to bet on Brentford, if you do want to, by the way, go Tony to score and Brentford to win. That's the only way this kind of happens. But Luton win at double your money. I just think that's worth a punt here. It's worth a punt because Luton Town simply have to win this. If you want to make some more, look at the corners market. There are definitely a get to the end line and cross the ball team with Doughty and Kabore. Combine it with maybe 8 corners, 15 in the match, 8 per half. I think that's a doable number for Luton Town. They do get a lot of corners, and to score from a corner is also going to be pretty reasonable here as well. But Luton, double your money, take it.
Well, trust on Luton Town. Let's see if they win. They can put Nottingham Forest or Everton in the bottom 3, and at the same time we have Sheffield United, Burnley, the 2 worst teams in the country. They meet each other. Probably next season they will see each other as well. But in the championship, if Burnley want to have a chance to get safe, they are 6 points away right now from Nottingham Forest. They have to win. Here is 3 draws in the last 4 games. I won't put my money on any of these teams, Tom.
No, I mean, look, to the credit of both of these teams, I will say that they haven't humiliated themselves historically in Premier League terms. They haven't done a derby, though Sheffield United are only 5 points clear of that. When they go down and they might get 20 points, it's going to be bad, but it's not going to be one we're going to remember in 5 years from now. So, that's to their credit, considering I didn't think Sheffield United were going to get into double figures in points at some point this season. And 3 draws in the last 5 at least has shown that they are trying not to be embarrassed. And I don't know, the bar is low, okay? That's something to celebrate, I guess. I think what's interesting here is you look at the recent run of form of both teams. 3 draws in the last 5 for Burnley, 3 draws in the last 5 for Sheffield United. Screams draw, doesn't it? Yeah. I think it has to be a draw here because I don't think both teams have the defence to hold on or the attack to score enough goals to win. Draw at 3.6, I love it. The form guide suggests it. Draw on both teams to score, 4.33. I think it's going to be a high-scoring draw, not too dissimilar to the 2-2 draw that Chelsea got at Burnley, same at West Ham. The 3-3 draw Sheffield United had at home against Fulham, 2-2 home against Chelsea. The pattern suggests it. The form suggests it. My gut suggests it. Draw on both teams to score. And if you like that as well, I've got another one for you. Draw and over 3.5 goals in the match, which has happened in 3 of Sheffield United's last 5 games. The 3 draws they've had, 9. 8-1. I think that's really, really nice. And if you're taking a punt on this game, that's it.
Well, the draw seems to me like a very good idea for this game. And on Saturday, we have Wolves Arsenal. Great game, this one. If Arsenal win, they will be top of the table, at least for this week. But it's been a really, really bad week for the Gunners. Lost to Aston Villa at home, lost to Bayern in the Champions League. Let's see, Tom, if they are going to pay the European effort or if they are going to bounce back and fight in this Premier League until the end of the season.
Yeah, I mean, look, on Arsenal, I think that they lost the game against Bayern at Emirates Stadium last week. I think that they had to win that game. They were favourites to win that game. They are better than Bayern Munich as a team, individually and collectively, bar maybe Harry Kane. I don't think any Bayern player would get into Arsenal's strongest team, bar the striker. People are free to disagree with that, but that's my view, and I think that's the view of many people looking at the 2 squads. They couldn't get over the line at Emirates Stadium. That'll be the big question mark for Arsenal at the end of this season when they win no trophies, because that was such a gift of a game at home and they failed. And look, the game at Bayern, going to the Allianz, they're a good team, Bayern. I'm not criticising them too much, but I don't think they're as good as Arsenal. And once they'd scored that goal, Arsenal just didn't have the goal threat. And we had the discussion in January. We keep having the discussion. Arsenal, one of the biggest spenders in European football, one of the biggest spenders in the Premier League, one of the highest wage bills. They don't have a centre forward. And there were times chasing a goal against Bayern, Gabriel Jesus has come on and he was behind everyone. almost playing in deep lying midfield. They need the striker and have needed that striker for a long, long time. And they don't have it. And I think that's the issue when you get to the business end, the final five, the big moments against the best teams. Desperately disappointing. Desperately disappointing week for Arsenal. I actually think the Aston Villa match was more devastating than the game against Bayern on Wednesday this week, because that was such a tall order to go to Bayern and win. That was so difficult. Villa at home, though tough, was less so. And Villa outplayed them almost the entire game, and they should have won it by more in the end. So this is not a crumble like last year, but I do, in a way, find it more disappointing for Arsenal, because they have got better, but the same old fallibility is there. Briefly on Wolves, goal scoring is an issue. It remains an issue and has been an issue for a long, long time. Still no Pedro Neto for this one. Hwang Hee-chan comes back into the squad. Didn't play against West Ham in the last game. Maybe will play in this one. So we'll see who plays up front. They've rotated with people like Doyle and Chiwame and Cunha, who played great, to be fair, against Nottingham Forest last week, but I don't think he's a central forward. I think he's more of a wide forward. No, goals, to be fair, were absolutely fantastic. Look, if he continues that form, there's every chance they nick one, right? I think he's a good player, but I just think Wolves' season is sort of over. Done an amazing job to not be in relegation form. I think they're already planning for next season. There will need to be big sales during the summer because we're still doing profitability and sustainability. And I think they don't beat Arsenal here. I just think Arsenal are going to really be smarting and furious. And I think losing in midweek, having nothing else to play for, I think that will focus the minds. And I think they win this game in a few ways. I think it'll be tight. I think they'll nick one and shut it down. Arsenal to win to 0 brings you in at 2.25. Under 3.5 goals, an Arsenal win brings you in at 2.25. And a group bet 1-0, 2-0, 2-1 brings you in at 2.75. And, you know, Arsenal's away form this season's been fantastic. They have had some big away wins in recent times, but I just don't see that happening here.
Indeed, they are the best away team in the Premier League, 33 points, one more than Man City. Man City with one game less, but they've been brilliant away from home. 5 wins and 1 draw at the Etihad in the last 6 away games. Well, Tom, let's see the 4 games that we have on Sunday, starting with the relegation 6-pointer. Everton, Nottingham Forest, key game. Forest 1 point away from Luton, Everton 2 points away from the bottom 3 because the competition keeps deducting points from both teams. How do you see this one? For Everton, they have 4 home games right now and Luton away, so the schedule is quite easy. For Everton, Nottingham Forest, they play away Sheffield United and Burnley, for instance. So I would say both teams have a good schedule, and probably the draw would be good for both of them, especially for Forest.
Win here and you're basically safe. I think that's a really big decision to play for a draw in this game, or to accept a draw. I would bust a gut to try and win this match, because again, Luton aren't getting 32. They aren't getting there. And the quicker you get to 32, the better. And if you win this game and you're Everton, you've got a sandwich of clubs between you and the bottom 3. And it's such a huge opportunity. The trouble is with the home form you mentioned, they've only won 4 home games all season and 1 in the last 5. That was the last one against Burnley by a goal to 0. But that was because Muric in goal for Burnley is doing whatever he can to get Burnley relegated, giving goals away on a weekly basis. Haven't scored enough goals, concede too many goals. Monday against Chelsea was appalling, despite the fact that Cole Palmer was good. Everton were atrocious. Tarkowski was bad. Pickford was awful. The midfield couldn't get a grip on the game. Beto missed an open goal at 0-0. I mean, I could go on and on about the awfulness of Everton on Monday. I think the players have lost faith in the manager. I think the manager has lost faith in the players. I think the crowd have got no more time for this hoof it and hope football that Sean Dyche brings. He's a good man to bring in if you've got to ugly get points. And that's great if you get the points. If you don't, it really can be utterly atrocious to watch. And that's what it's like right now. For Nottingham Forest, they almost have the exact opposite problem in that they're great to watch. I love watching Nottingham Forest. They can't win either. 1 win in the last 5. That was the game against Fulham. Should have beaten Wolves last week. It's incredible they couldn't beat Wolverhampton Wanderers last week. But defensively, they are poor. I saw something about Murillo, their centre-half. Oh, he's so good. He's been linked with Tottenham. Looks a good footballer. Can't defend. So I don't really know what that link is all about. I'm sure he's got an agent doing some good business for him out there in the newspaper land, but defensively weak. The midfield, people like Ryan Yates, massive clogger. They don't have the quality, but offensively, they really, really do. Chris Wood in terrific form. Gibbs White, fantastic player, as he showed again last week. Hudson-Odoi, Elanga, they had their moments. So, how does this game go? I mean, at home this season, I mentioned Everton's form is atrocious. Away from home, as ever, Nottingham Forest form is atrocious. 2 points in the last 5, 2 wins all season. This could be anything, right? There's 2 ways this goes, I think. Number 1, it's going to be real tight and 1 goal wins it. Number 2, 6-6. Like a wild barrage of goals at both ends. I'm going to go for the cautious. I think both teams struggle to break each other down in the first half. And I would pick Everton to win it in the second and get over the line to win it. So number 1, take the draw. Number 2, look draw then Everton win it late. Number 3, look at Everton and the under 2.5 goals and Everton win. Same scoreline as Burnley. We won that bet. Why not again? 4.5.
A scary game on Sunday. Also on Saturday, we had the Sheffield United Burnley. A lot on stake this weekend in the relegation area. And on Sunday, we have 3 more games. The 3 teams that are involved in European football on Thursday. First one is Aston Villa, Bournemouth. Aston Villa playing Lille in the conference also. They have to win to keep the 4th spot. Now we've learned that England will have only 4 teams in the Champions League next season, almost for sure. So if Aston Villa want to play Champions League, they have to win here. They have 3 points now advantage from Tottenham Hotspur. They won at the Emirates. And as we know, Tom, Bournemouth, even if they are playing for nothing, is still a dangerous team.
Good game, this. I think it's a really, really good game and one I'm looking forward to seeing this weekend. Aston Villa put in their performance of the season, I think, at Arsenal at the weekend. And people will say, wait, they beat Arsenal at Villa Park and they beat City at Villa Park. But I thought the game at the weekend just gone, considering it was after the European game on Thursday, considering what was at stake at Arsenal, I thought they were terrific. Diego Carlos put in his best performance in an Aston Villa shirt. Emi Martinez, who we know is a brilliant goalkeeper, made an outstanding save. Ollie Watkins' second is just sublime, like world class is that finish from Ollie Watkins under pressure. I could go on about how good I thought they were last week. And we got to remember as well, Kamara was missing, Douglas Luiz was missing. It wasn't the strongest possible Aston Villa player for player. And yet they won pretty comfortably. So really impressed with them. Home form's got a bit more patchy than it was at the start of the season. 2 wins in the last 5. A couple of big losses. The one against Tottenham, devastating at the time. And drew the last one against Brentford in a helter-skelter match too. So some concerns there. But I still think Villa understandably go into it as favourites. And I like Bournemouth. I really do. I loved them last week against Manchester United. I think that they have improved as the season has gone on. August to November was not great, and it looked like Iraola might get the sack. November onwards, if we just take November onwards, they'd be a top 6 team. And they would be there because of a couple of reasons. Number 1, Solanke is superb. 17 goals now in the Premier League this season for Dominic Solanke. This is a bit of a battle between 2 players that want to be Harry Kane's understudy in the summer. Most goals ever scored by a Bournemouth player in a Premier League season, beating Josh King's record last week. So, fantastic season from him. The issue is who's going to play with him. They were dropping like flies last week. There was already no Semenyo. Sinistera went off injured again. So I wonder what the front 3 is and if they are all going to be fit enough to play along with Dominic Solanke. If so, I do think they could land a glove. But if they don't have Tavernier and Sinistera and Semenyo and that whole backup crew, Justin Kluivert went off last week. He was fantastic. I have some concerns there. So good game this. And I actually think I'm going to follow the pattern of the Brentford game last time out. I think you've got 2 teams here that do play with the freedom. I think Villa's high line could be picked apart by Bournemouth. So Villa to win and over 3.5 goals in the match, following the Brentford score pattern, but picking Villa to win. That brings you at 3.5. Wouldn't be surprised to see another high-scoring draw as well, so look into that market. And as I've done every week for quite some time now with both of these teams, if you like Villa, Watkins to score and Villa win. If you like Bournemouth, Solanke to score and Bournemouth win. Usually they come in.
Great game, this one. Aston Villa, once upon a time, a very strong team at home. Now 2 wins in the last six at Villa Park. Let's see what happens here. Another team involved in European football is your West Ham. Tom, they are going to play Leverkusen on Thursday, and it's a tough place to go right now. Selhurst Park, Crystal Palace, they smashed the Premier League title race with the win at Anfield. Also, Man City struggled to win here. So I can understand why the bookies place Crystal Palace as favorite, especially with West Ham playing on Thursday, especially with the recent form of West Ham in the Premier League.
Yeah, I mean, we'll get to West Ham in a second. I think Crystal Palace were outstanding last week, defensively brilliant, and it was only, I believe, the third time this season that Eze and Elise have started together. And you couple them with Jean-Philippe Mateta, who I think has been probably the outstanding player from the rest of the league, the non-top six teams in the second half of the season. His ball control has got fantastic. His goal scoring, his line leading, his running down the channels, his effort, all of it. So I think Palace right now probably have the best front three of those not in the European position. So plenty of credit to Crystal Palace and their players. Plenty of credit to Oliver Glasner, who came in at a tough time replacing Roy Hodgson and has seen them get up the league. And they're understandably favourites here. I see that, and I think they will win this match. In terms of West Ham, second half to the season's been awful. Again, another time where in January there was an opportunity to invest in the squad, as there was 2 seasons ago when they made the Europa League semi-finals, and in the end they sold the bench and signed Calvin Phillips. And it leads us to where we are. The West Ham team, the 11, is very good. The West Ham squad is not. And I've said that now for 3 years. They just have not created a 14-man squad where 3 people can come on, the level doesn't drop significantly. I don't know about Jarrod Bowen. If he's played on Thursday, we're recording before the Thursday game. I wouldn't expect him to play again here. Injured against Wolves last time out in the league, away from home. Lucas Paquetá, probably in his final few games with West Ham before a summer move. Form's dipped off a cliff in the last 3 or 4 weeks. Didn't play on Thursday because of a stupid booking he picked up the previous week, so he'll be fresh. Same with Emerson as well. But I don't know about West Ham. I feel like at times they've picked up surprise results this season. We backed them to win at Wolves, and that came in, first win in 5. But there's just something missing. There's something missing, and I think West Ham have missed a huge opportunity here. Last week could have gone 6th. The second half of the season's not been good enough. They have not won enough games in 2024, and I think that will cost them European football next season, which will be such a blow. So don't look at West Ham here. Go for Crystal Palace. They won this game comfortably last year. I think they will again. Palace to win 2.25. Palace to win to 0, because I can't see West Ham scoring, brings you at 4.33. And Eze and Elise, fantastic. Pick one of them to score and Palace win. That's a double your money. I'll take Eze and Palace win.
Well, West Ham is still fighting for the 7th spot, and they are 2 points away from Man United, but it's going to be tough to win at Selhurst Park. And in London, we have at Craven Cottage, we have Fulham. Liverpool, I think no one saw this coming for Liverpool. If they were gonna lose the title race, it was because of the away form, but they screwed up at Anfield twice against Atalanta and against Crystal Palace. Tom, do you trust Liverpool to win here? It's going to be a tough one, also because Fulham, they are getting really good results playing at home.
Yeah, and a great win last week at West Ham, where they won comfortably and were very, very good. And at home, we've spoken about this a few times now, really undervalued at home. The 7th best team in the Premier League this season at home, 9 victories at Craven Cottage is really, really impressive. They're giving a couple of teams a pasting as well, including Tottenham Hotspur, including Brighton, including West Ham, Nottingham Forest. They've thrashed them 3s, 4s and 5s. So really good at home this season. I think that offensively, Pereira was great last week. Rodrigo Muniz, player of the month last month in the Premier League, scoring lots of goals. Willian at times is playing his part more from the bench these days, but still doing it. João Palhinha, one of the best players in the league in his position. I could go on and on. I think they're fantastic, Fulham. And if not for their poor away form in the first half of the season, they'd be in that conversation for Europe too. I think it'll just be a little bit too far away for them this season. For Liverpool, couldn't believe they didn't win last week. I mean, they could play that game 100 times and win it 99 times. The amount of chances, the amount of times they got through on goal. But in the end, the game's about scoring goals, right? That's it. That's what this game is. And Darwin Núñez passing the ball constantly back to the goalkeeper. Curtis Jones and Mo Salah unable to find the target. That matters. That's really, really important. And I don't know. It's been the story of the last few weeks, really, not taking the chances. It's such an odd one. It's one of those ones you ask footballers and they're like, why some weeks couldn't you knock snow off a rope, and why next week they just score a hat-trick and they can't explain it? You know, they got the yips last week and they lost. And I think this might be it for Liverpool. I think this could be the week the season comes to its close. I think that there's every chance. Again, we don't know this. They haven't pulled off a miracle in Italy and they're out of the Europa League on the Thursday. And I just don't see them winning here. I think Fulham are too good at home. And I think Fulham will be bang up for this. And I think at 5.75, Fulham to win on its own is irresistible. One of the best teams at home this season against the beleaguered-looking Liverpool. Take it and run. I also like 4.5 for the draw. I think there's every chance that Fulham will score goals, as will Liverpool. And we have a lot of fun here and it ends level. Not too dissimilar to Istanbul a few years ago. If you like Liverpool, look at both teams to score. Fulham are going to score, I think, in this game. 29 scored at home this season. He's nearly 1 in 2. So if Liverpool do win, make it both teams to score, and there's some money there.
Well, let's see if Liverpool, if Arsenal are able to take this opportunity, because Man City, they are going to be involved in the FAcup semifinals and they can overcome Man City, at least for the moment. In the table, Tom Rennie, wise man, you know everything about English football. Tell me your safe bet for this weekend.
Not too many safes this weekend, but I'm sticking with the FA Cup. I think City are going to knock out Chelsea. I know I mentioned the possibility of extra time, but that was for a bit of a fun, more of a prop bet, a bit of a fun one. I think City, safe bet, 1.4, quite high for Man City. They'll do some business in the ACCA as well.
It's a very tough weekend from the betting point of view. And the ACCA?
3-team ACCA. I'm getting 2s of 3s. It's annoying me at the moment. You can make this a 2. If you want to make it a 2, drop Arsenal out. But I picked Crystal Palace to beat West Ham. I think that feels like a bit of a gimme for this weekend. And I picked Aston Villa to win their game as well. Throw Arsenal in 2, it brings you at 5.18. That's the best I found this morning. Take Arsenal out, just take a double on Palace and Villa. That's 3.89, but I'll stick with the treble.
Well, Tom Rennie, thank you very much. See you next week and good luck with your West Ham in European football.